Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Futures Morning Leap session for Friday, April the 6th, 2018. My name is Doug McKay. I am the founder of Quantum Leap Futures. Each morning we get together in these live go-to sessions to take a look at the market macro to micro, take a look at the structure of the market, then we drill down to our trade levels, our targets, and our hypotheses for the day. We do create multiple hypotheses, two main ones. We do not know what the market's going to do. Therefore, we create a plan based on who takes control, the buyers or sellers. And those are our hypo 1s and hypos 2s, or scenario 1, scenario 2. And then we have hypo 3 and hypo 4, which is our expansion plans for when the market goes into a type of trend. This is a subscription room. If you're interested in checking it out, send me an email at quantumleapfutures@gmail.com. There's no website, there's no blog. This is not a commercial venture. We do everything live here in the go-to, and then we do live trading and analysis during the course of the trading day. Please read through the disclaimer. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Any trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence, your own trade plan, and your own risk metrics. So looking at yesterday our hypo 1 was an open auction at a range, and they moved down into the 54 area to the 49.75, possibly a dip into the prior day, but looking for them to rotate up, okay, into the overnight high at 67, and we were looking for a rotational day above the prior day range. That was hypo 1. Hypo 2 was an open auction, a push up into the overnight high, find responsive buyers, rotate down into the prior day range, coming down to test the 40, and then rotating between the 45 and the 55, I believe I was saying, and fighting the range high. Those are the two main hypotheses. Hypo 3 was a gap and go day, and a move up into the 78.50 to 80. And we were looking for that possibility of getting above the overnight high and getting the continuation. That's what we were in hypo 1 for most of the day, but when we put in this weak high up here and then put the triple top in, I was thinking we were going to get a continuation and go into hypo 3 with a move up into the 78.50, 80, and possibly even break the key line in the sand above at 84.50 and go into the 90s. We didn't get that. We got our balancing day, double distribution with a LVN at just below the VWAP and just above the mid and the open. So what happened overnight? Well, overnight we were really looking for the possibility of continuation higher. Of course, news will always interrupt an auction and cause a change in context, and the news of Trump putting out another $100 billion suggestion on tariffs really spooked the market, and we actually dropped 42 plus points on that news. Now I want to show you something, and I talk about this all the time. There was an intra-session gap, and I was actually short the intra-session gap, believe it or not, because I trade these all the time. It's not a Globex gap, but it was an intra-session gap. See this rate? The lines are probably blocking this, but if you look at this right here, this 5-minute bar, it was a really weird bar. It didn't go anywhere for 5 minutes. The open, high, and low were all at 62.75, and then it opened up on the next 5 minutes and it spiked up to 64. I actually shorted the 63 and a quarter back towards this gap, and unfortunately, I closed my short down at at 62. About 5 minutes just before the news. Although I did get a nice chunk of this downward, and that's really what set up for me to triple my goal today uh, in my account. But then we get the news. We get the huge move down into the 20, 24 area, 25 area. I actually got long at 20, was it 24.75, 24 and a quarter? I think it was 24.75 because I was looking for a retracement, and I put the two charts in the room last night showing that the 61%, 61 and right here, uh, the retrace was up to the 45.75, and there was a zipper measured move that I put in the room that had a target, I believe, of 41.50. So I traded that back to the upside. I ended up closing it down early simply because I had to go to bed. I was just too tired. But uh, this was a good example of if you saw the profile. Let me bring that picture up because I want to bring that picture up to show you. I know I'm off topic right now, but there's never a bad time to do some teaching. Just gonna find those charts I put in the room last night. Right here. Okay, so here's the chart that I drew last night for the 61.8 retracement, and we had this big move down, and we had this big long LVN. And I always talk about incomplete profiles. This was an incomplete profile, and I was looking for that pullback to, well, and we also had the zipper measured move. Here's the zipper measured move that I drew. We went down to that 22 and a quarter, came up, created the zipper, and then we had the target, which was up at 41.50. And so those two things got me long, and I think I ended up closing it out at 36.50 or something like that. Just I wanted to go to bed. I didn't want to stay up all night because I knew I had non-farm payroll in the morning, and of course, non-farm payroll finished my day for me. Taking a look at the economic calendar for the day, we did have our non-farm manufacturing payrolls came out better than expected, but the unemployment rate came out slightly higher than expected, and the non-farm payrolls was actually smaller than anticipated, and that's what kind of threw me off, and I ended up getting short in the hole there on the news. But gold, gold was just fantastic this morning. So as far as continued news, we've got IVPMI coming out for Canada in 58 minutes. And there's not a lot of other news scheduled for today. We've got the ECR weekly annualization at 10:30, but that's never a big mover. We do have the Bank of England, Carney speaking, that could make some waves at 11:15. We've got the Baker Hughes rig count at 1 o'clock, and then we've got Fed Powell speaking at 1:30. Other than that, today's all going to be about the tariffs and this escalating trade war that's setting up with China. So let's take a look at the overnight session. Of course, the overnight session is pretty much 100% net short. We've got revaluation. We're going to be opening up below the prior day range. So we've got a gap range, pretty decent distribution, but you notice that, and I'm just going to do, well, I'll do it later. Does anybody have a shift of the VPOC from the 25? 25 to 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 Anybody? I still have it down. So it's still down there at 25. So we haven't, we've left value alone down here. And even on the non-farm payroll, they were able to move the market back up. So I'm thinking we're going to get some balancing of the overnight inventory. So let me just move this over. I've got most of my levels set up. The scene of the crime last night for the tariff news is 61 and a half. The non-farm payroll scene of the crime is 42. So we got to mark that. Uh, in terms of levels, they're pretty straightforward. Nothing really changed much from yesterday. 49.75 is going to be our over underline. Overber. Our key line in the sand does not change. If you look at the bigger structure, all right, so context. All right, so we had the big move down, then we had the inside day, Mr. Sneaky, then we have the big day. Yes, I'm sorry, 2 days ago on Tuesday. I'm sorry, Wednesday, and then we gap up yesterday. We have our balancing day. Now, typically, this should have been a continuation pattern, but news, okay, can revalue the market. And obviously, we've got, when you're talking $100 billion in additional tariffs, that is going to revalue the market. So we move down overnight and we come back into the value area, the longer time frame value area, with the value area high at 32 and a quarter, value area low down here at the 25.51. And we fail. We come down. The low of the night was 1975, and then they just, they take it right back up, and we're outside of value, and we're just above this 41 and a quarter, right back to basically the scene of the crime, 42. The overnight high is way up here in the 64 and a quarter. So, we're kind of stuck in yesterday's Wednesday's upper distribution, but we're below the prior day. So we could get it's Friday non-farm. We could just see chop between the 32 and the 49. So I'm thinking we're probably going to get a balancing day here if we hold 32. If we get below 32, then I think they're going to go for the overnight low down at the 19 and come back down into the balance, the 10-day balance that is down there at the 26.13 area. So key levels to watch. Obviously, it's going to be choppy this morning, and I think we're going to get some wide rotations. But the key levels to watch are going to be that 49, range low from the prior day. If we get back in the inside of yesterday's range, then I'm looking for a continuation back up to the naked VPOC at 58.50 and a return to the scene of the crime and a gap close. If we break below the 32, then I'm looking for a bigger move down into the 19.75 and back down to the 13s. Otherwise, I think we're just going to get into a 15 to 20 point chop. So it is Friday, gang. Don't ruin your week and have to go into the weekend by blowing your emotional capital. Keep it tight, keep it light, be selective, and just make sure that your number one job remains the same, and that's capital preservation. So Hypos. My hypo 1, oh, let's say we got to put our levels in here. Did I put the overnight low in? Yes. The overnight low is also sitting on that TPO single too. And then the overnight high is in. The 20 period daily ATR is running at 49.50. So our upside daily ATR is now down to 69 and a quarter. And our downside daily ATR is down at 14.75. So I'm looking for an open auction out of range. Oh, we need to do the gap fill. All right. If we open here at where are we trading? 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. Let's call it 41. This will have to be adjusted, of course. And the close was 63. So our half gap fill is 52. And again, this will have to be adjusted because we don't know we're going to open yet. Our overnight VPOC is all the way down at 25. It might shift before we get into the RTH session, so we'll just have to watch that. All right, hypos. My main hypothesis is an open auction out of range. I'm looking for responsive buyers up into the 44 and 47. We got a naked VPOC at 44, a naked close at 47. And I'm looking for them to test the 49, possibly even push up through the gap fill, somewhere between the 49 and the 54. I'm looking for sellers to step in, rotate us down into the open, chop at the open, wherever it is, and then push down through, test the key line in the sand, maybe push into the single at 29, and then find buyers and rotate. And I'm looking for a rotational day below the prior day, testing between the 49 and the 29. That is hypo 1. Hypo 2 is an open auction, a push down into the 32, possibly even the overnight, finding buyers, rotating us back up, and basically chopping in this area. I just equal weight on hypo 1 and hypo 2. I think it's a balancing day. It's Friday. News could ruin this, but I think we're just going to chop below the prior day range, but above the longer time frame microcomposite value area high. Okay, hypo 3 is a gap and go. I'm looking for an open auction or an open rejection reverse. I'm looking for probably a return to the scene of the crime for the NFP and the 44, and then I'm looking for sellers to get very strong in this marketplace, rotate us down into the 32, chop between the 32 and the 29, then fail and push down through the overnight low, take out the overnight low in the 1975 and push down into that 9-day microcomposite. It's actually 10-day now, so I should adjust that. And looking to come back and close down in here. Maybe a late day probe down into the 2604.05 area. So that is hypo 3. Hypo 4 is just a return to the scene of the crime on the tariff. I'm looking for an open auction, wide opening swing, hold the month and the week open, and rotate us up into the prior day, and chop in here and push up in and close the gap and return to the scene of the crime and close back inside of yesterday's balancing day. That is hypo 4. The week open is at 26.35. So we're not really going to get critical mass kicking in. with the daily ATR 26.35 plus the 49.49, which is a 1 day that we've got left. The critical mass upside is 26.84 1/4. And it's basically right at our key line in the sand. So just, I'll just make a little note here. And weekly critical mass. And to the downside, our downside critical mass is going to be way below us. 26.35 minus 49.50. So 25.85 is down here near that longer time frame microcomposite VPOC. So I don't think we're going to really see that today. We might, you never know, we might, I just don't think critical mass is going to be an issue today. So those are my 4 main hypotheses. Let's take a quick look at gold. I know I'm running long here, but again, there's always so much to talk about in non-farm. Where'd my GC comp go? There it is. So we're basically, still in this balance area. I'm going to bring this over now. So our 5-day and our longer time frame microcomposite VPOC is at 13.29. We dipped down tonight down to the 22.70 and have rallied, over $12, and we're coming up to this this 34 area. I'm looking for gold to chop in this area around the 29 to 34, but if we break the 34, I think you've got a nice trade up into the 37 and possibly even up into the 41. To the downside, if we don't hold the 29, look for them to come down to the 26. And if that doesn't hold, then a trip down through to the other side of this balance, down to the 20 area is possible. We're pushing in that direction until the NFP news. So that's going to complete our pre-market session. I caution you again, I can't say this enough, on Fridays, it's never a good idea to put a lot of risk on the table, especially with the volatility and when we've got a lot of headline news that can really move the market. So don't get stubborn, keep it tight, keep it light, keep your green, and go into the weekend with good emotional capital as well as hopefully P&L in your account. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.